Let's talk about miniatures. I've been known to do some role-playing.
Loader, sucker, boner, erection sword, whoa!
How do I describe Thundercats to the YouTube generation without sounding like my doddering grandpa waxing nostalgic for the buzz he got from the ticker tape machine? Thundercats often gets lumped in with He-Man the way Megablots gets mixed in with Legos. To outsiders, they're tough to differentiate, but worlds apart in quality to any real fan. Where He-Man was full of pastel colors and flat characters, Thundercats was dark and complex. Thundercats was a story about refugees on an alien world. He-Man was a 22-minute commercial for Mattel Toys. They largely work in the same tropes: magic sword, mystic mentor, magical transformation, evil sorcerer antagonists. And there are a lot of character analogs, but in every one of them, Thundercats is superior. Cheetara is an ass-kicking speedster, worlds superior to He-Man's token female Teela, who seems to exist only to pout and endanger herself. Lion-O's tech guy is Panthro, a Black Panther man with nunchucks that are also guns. He-Man's tech guy is Magnum P.I. Lion-O's mystic mentor is Jaga, the spirit of a Thunderian nobleman, the very same one who previously owned the Sword of Omens and led the Thundercats to Third Earth. He-Man, on the other hand, receives telepathic guidance from the Sorceress, the guardian of Castle Grayskull. I would question any advice given to me by a woman who thinks it's okay to dress like this. Alright, showtime's in 5 minutes. Where are my bird girls? Oh God, Sorceress, are you drunk?
No, I just...
Oh Jesus, somebody clean her up. Thundercats was brought to us by Rankin Bass, who made the original Hobbit cartoon, which is why the Thundercats had a soul. All of He-Man's characters are based on toys, and every He-Man toy had exactly one gimmick. This guy has spikes, this guy's made of moss, this guy has liver disease. The designs on the Thundercat characters are much deeper and much more interesting. Watch the pilot if you can, it still holds up. And they made a remake which wasn't so good. But its failure is my success, as I bought this toy, the Tower of Omens, for a song on clearance. It came with this vehicle, which I turned into a hoopty for my Batman toy. It came with this figure, who's not cheaply produced. He's invisible. Well, except he's not. And yeah, here's a reproduction of the original Mum-Ra. It's much better. And anyway, here's the Catapult that came with the Tower of Omens in its original form. It's a stationary catapult, which makes it fairly worthless for gaming purposes, so I'm going to put it on a platform with wheels and paint it up. First thing I'm going to do is cover up these screw holes with, yeah, it's filthy, with some plastic beads, some square-shaped ones. They're just where screws would go in where this thing was machined. I'm also going to cover this other screw up with just a little bit of hot glue. I don't want a bead hanging off the end of this trigger mechanism here. It just wouldn't look good. Now I'm going to make a couple of wheels for it out of Dasani bottle tops, and I'm going to put an axle between them, although the axle isn't going to be functional. It's just to add a little extra support and make it look a little more realistic. The axle is just a barbecue skewer. I punch 2 holes in the middle of Dasani water bottles tops here, and I run the axle between them. This red square you see is actually the lid off of a box of Sun-Maid raisins. And, yeah, it's the perfect fit for the Catapult, as you'll see. And it has this nice lip on it. And I'm going to glue the wheels right into it, right underneath. And the lip's going to conceal the fact that the wheels are attached in a way that wouldn't actually allow it to roll. When I flip this over, you won't be able to tell. But we're going to get a little time to dry. And I'm also going to cover up where the axle is pointing out here with a couple of round plastic gem beads. I use these things all the time, folks. If you don't have plastic gem beads, go out and buy them. They're excellent for crafting. They're really one of my favorite things. If you watch my videos, you'll see I use them almost everything, except maybe for individual miniatures. And I'm going to put one on every single axle here, and it makes it look like a wheel. It's fantastic. And also kind of gives it a dwarven look, and this is going to end up being more of a dwarven looking catapult when it's all said and done. And here I am putting the catapult into the sun-made raisin lid. As you can see, it is a perfect fit. I mean, it's completely flush. It's almost as if it were designed for it. And already you can see a catapult up on a platform with wheels, so it's already looking a lot better than it was. Now I'm chopping up some popsicle sticks to fill in some of these empty spaces on the raisin lid. If I had to do this again, I'd measure them a little better and cut them a little better. I'm scratching up the lid with a wire brush here, and I'm using hot glue to secure these bits of popsicle stick in here. And it's just going to make it look more like a wooden construction. You know, just don't want that flat plastic. It looks too modern. And we're going to break that up with a little bit of wood, which we'll paint in our wood way a little later. And I'm just stuffing the pieces of wood in there. A little bit chock-a-block, higgledy-piggledy. And I should probably do it a little bit neater. If you're going to do a project like this at home, take a little longer than I am to measure it out. It'll pay off a little better later. I think the end result ends up looking fine and on this, but I would take a little more time with it if I had to do it all over. And this front section, actually, I do measure them out pretty well, and you can see it looks quite nice to just have the little wooden bits in there. It's certainly better than cramming them in. I'll put a little skinny one here on the side, just practically a toothpick. And I'm gonna glue some wood underneath the catapult so it doesn't have that sort of machined finish. There'll be things hanging underneath. It makes it look like there's something that the wheels are attached to. You know, it goes in the front and the back. I'm gonna take this plastic gem bead and use this as our projectile. I'm going to paint it up like a stone, and it's just going to look like, again, Dwarven Catapult, that they actually took the time to carve a stone into sort of a jagged shape to make it just that much more devastating when it's flung from the catapult. And we're going to apply paint. We put a nice black primer on it, and I'm going with brown over all the wood section. Any sort of brown will do. Any brown variant, I'm also going to put that on the wheels, since the wheels are supposed to be made of wood. And most of the catapult's going to be brown and metallic. So brown, and then I'm going to dry brush that brown with lemonade, which is a color I use a lot for wood, and just trying to bring out the wood grain on there, leaving the brown in the cracks. Not doing a great job painting this, guys. I certainly could try a little harder than I do in this project, but the end result, quite satisfactory. And then I'm going to dry brush some metal onto the black here. You know, this whole thing, I'm slapping this together in about an hour. I mean, this is a really quick project. And just getting the metal on there, dry brushing it on. Not super dry. We do want the metal to shine and, you know, not to have large black patches in it. And I'm just hitting every part of that. And honestly, there's really only 3 different sort of colored areas. There's the metal, there's the wood, and there's the boulder. And the boulder, I believe I do with brown and gray. So yeah, no big tricks here. Nothing fancy paint-wise. I also am going to do the head of the catapult. I actually don't know the term for the bit at the end that throws the object. I'm going to do that in bronze just to make it stand out a little better, just to break it up, make the piece a little more interesting. And I do color the eyes red to make them pop. Let's take a look at some of the stills and see what the finished product looks like.